And inshallah today we're going to go into the fiqh of it. It is mainly a fiqh text, right? So it is the fardu ain, the essentials of Islam text. It is a fardu ain text, right? It has a bit of aqidah in the beginning, right, where he speaks about the pillars of Islam and the pillars of Iman. And that's about it. Right? He just goes into just a little bit about the pillars of Islam and Iman, right? And then he goes into the fiqh, the text being a fiqh text. And the book ends off it being a fiqh text. There isn't actually a tasawwuf section in this book. Right? So unlike you have Allahumma salli sayyidina Muhammad. How to mute people? Can I mute? Somebody is unmuted. Mm, I can mute people. Okay. All right. Now, so unlike you have Risal Jamia has the soul section at the end, right? Or whereby he speaks about the obedience and the disobediences of the limbs, right? This is the soul section. Right? But this text specifically, it ends off fiqh, right? The entire text is fiqh, right? From beginning to end. Right? So Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. قال المؤلف رحمه الله تعالى. So the author he says فصل علامات البلوغ ثلاث. Right? The signs of puberty are three. الأول تمام 15 سنة في الذكر والأنثى واحتلام في الذكر والأنثى ل9 سنين والحيض في الأنثى ل9 سنين. Right? So he says in the section the signs of puberty are three, right? Reaching the Oh, I didn't do this. Forgot. Okay, so I'll do before studying. I completely forgot, mashallah. So really wanted to get to the text. Yes, maybe. Um, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I forgot to do something. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Jazakumullah khair for reminding me. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه في كل لحظة أبدا على نعم الله وفضله اللهم آتنا من لدنك رحمة وعلمنا من لدنك علما سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نوينا تعلم وداعي وتذكر وتذكير ونفع والانتفاع والإفادة والاستفادة والحث على التمسك بكتاب الله وسنة رسوله صلى الله عليه وآله وصحبه وسلم ودعاء إلى الهدى والدلالة على خير ابتغاء وجه الله ومرضاته وقربه وثوابه سبحانه وتعالى مع لطف وعافية برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين اللهم إنا نسألك علما لدنيا ومشرب صافيا هاني يا وهاب يا غني اللهم إنا نسألك علما لدنيا ومشرب صافيا هاني يا غني اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين اللهم ألهمنا علما نفقه به أوامرك ونواهيك وارزقنا فهم النبي فهما آه، اللهم ألهمنا علما نفقه به أوامرك ونواهيك وارزقنا فهما نعرف به كيف ناجيك يا أرحم الراحمين اللهم إنا نسألك فهم النبيين وحفظ المرسلين وإلهام الملائكة المقربين في عافية يا أرحم الراحمين اللهم أغننا بالعلم وزينا بالحلم وأكرمنا بالتقوى وجملنا بالعافية يا أرحم الراحمين آمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم اللهم إنا نستودعك ما قرأناه وما نقرأه في هذا المجلس وما قبله وما بعده فاحفظه علينا حتى ترده إلينا وقت احتياجنا إليه يا أرحم الراحمين اللهم إنا نسألك فهم اللهم أكرمنا من نور الفهم وأخرجنا من ظلمات الوهم وافتح لنا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا حكمتك يا أرحم الراحمين آمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم اللهم يا من مقاليد الأمور كلها بيده وإليه يرجع الأمر كله يا فتاح يا عليم يا فتاح يا عليم يا فتاح يا عليم افتح علينا فتحا قريبا وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري وحلول عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي وسدد لساني واهدي قلبي وافعل كذلك بأحبابي أبدا وارزقنا كمال فتوح العارفين والفقه في الدين مع كمال الإخلاص والصدق واليقين والعافية والغنى والنصر والحفظ والنفع والانتفاع وخيرات الدارين وعلو الأولين والآخرين آمين. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين. الفاتحة. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. Amin, amin, ya Rabbal Alamin. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Okay, now we start the class. Alhamdulillah. Right, so the signs of puberty are three. Right, reaching the age of 15 lunar years for male or female, experiencing the wet dream for a 9-year-old boy or girl, menstruation for a 9-year-old girl, and there are a few footnotes here. Just read through it first. I will explain the entire thing. When a child reaches the age of 7 and is mumayyiz, I mean discerning, he can eat, drink, clean himself after using the toilet unassisted, he is ordered to perform the prayer and all other injunctions pertaining to the prayer. And when he reaches 10 years old, he will be beaten for neglecting it, and we explained it as well, not severely, but so as to discipline the child, and not more than 3 strikes. Prayer and other institutions of the Sharia become wajib on the child when the child reaches the age of puberty. Now, pregnancy is not a sign of puberty, rather an emission of sexual fluid prior to pregnancy is the sign for puberty. Okay, tamam. So Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So the signs of puberty are three, right? And so he begins with the signs of puberty, right? Because all of the talk on laws of Islam apply to the mukallaf, right? The mukallaf is somebody who has a sound mind and has reached puberty. And so the mukallaf basically means someone who is legally responsible. Right? So if you find the word mukallaf, I'm going to introduce all these terms, right? So I'm sure if you've been studying Islam for quite some time, you would have come across these terms anyway, right? But I'm just going to assume, I'm going to assume that amongst the people who are here, right, those who have never come across these terms, those who are brand new, fresh, right, to the studying of Islam, welcome, ahlan wa sahlan, right? May the studying of the laws of Islam be sweet for you all. Pleasurable as it is very pleasurable for me fiqh is one of the most like one of the subjects I really, 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 really enjoy studying. The different, intricacies of fiqh and so on and so forth. So inshallah, my intention is that, those who come to this subject, that you find spiritual like spiritual boosts, in studying fiqh. And also that you find sweetness, right, in studying fiqh. And inshallah, I'll try my best to make it as enjoyable as possible with stories and like, a lot of the self goes into the teaching of fiqh, right? A lot of spirituality, and cleansing of ourselves. But what fiqh is all about is basically law. It is law, right? Law in our religion, and our religion is obviously, right, a huge part of it is law, right? Because we believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we believe in the hereafter, we believe in our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, all the prophets, in fact, we believe in the angels, the books, and then we believe in the decree, right? um all of this is belief, I believe, right? Our religion does not stop there. Right? So with this belief, right, now comes action. And you have to show your belief, right, in your actions. So someone can't say, "Oh, I believe in Allah," and that's it. They hang around, they do what they want to do, they indulge in the dunya, they disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they couldn't care less. No, right, no, our religion calls us, Allah calls us, like, to obedience. And Allah calls us to listen to what He has commanded, right, us to do, and to do it. Right? This is why in Islam, a huge part is law, right? It is law in Islam. And I've met people, who are reverts to this religion, right? And my friends here in Darim, some of them, who are reverts in the past, um, I met them here in Darim. And they will say things like, the first part, the Iman part, is very easy because the Iman part is very natural. right? The Imam part of Islam. You know there's one God. Most human beings don't have to convince them about it. Right? Most human beings they know there's one creator. They know is the creator, right? And then you go into some of the proofs of prophethood, right? Very quickly, very easily you can prove that the Prophet ﷺ, he's indeed the messenger, right? Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and he's the last prophet, sent by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala very quickly, right? Then you hear what he has to say, and he tells us about the hereafter. We hear what the Quran has to say. We know about the day of judgment. Okay, very quickly, because he is the most truthful and the most trustworthy, all these things are true. So Aqidah is actually not difficult, like, to embrace Aqidah. Like, it's easy, like, because it is natural, and it's from the fitrah, from the natural disposition of the human being, that they know this stuff. They know all these things, right? It's not hard, except for the ones who have diseases in their hearts, right? And these are people, they are around, they have diseases, with regards to Allah and the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the biggest disease that they have in their heart is love of the dunya. That's blocking them, right, from, admitting, or realizing, right, that there is indeed one God. They want to indulge in their dunya. Right. So then like my friends, they will say that, after the Aqidah part, right, Sharia slams down on them. Like, it hits them so hard. Sharia comes in. The first thing you gotta do, learn how to read Surah Fatiha. Then what? Suddenly, out of nowhere, pray 5 times a day. For the one who was a non-Muslim, then came into Islam. I pray 5 times a day. Straight away, 5 times a day. No tahara, I know how to do wudu, know how to do ghusl if you're a woman, especially, menses, lots of menses around it, and then know where you get clean, right? And then bathe and then pray and so on and so forth. It's subhanallah, subhanallah. And if you come to Ramadan, the laws around Ramadan, and fasting, and then you have Taraweeh, and you have this and that, and you have Sunnah things, and you have wajib things, and you have, mashallah, it piles on, right? And then, of course, later on, you're going to figure out your zakat, right? You have wealth that is amassing. And then if you want to go for Hajj and Umrah, you have to study for that too. Right? And on top of that, the entire halal and haram system of Islam, right? Halal, what foods are halal, what foods are haram, and then also interactions of that are halal and haram, right? Even and then it goes into other parts of our character, our dress, of what is mahram, what's not mahram, and so on and so forth. Walhamdulillah. Right? And all of this is placed on the mukallaf. Like, let me write that word down. Right? Mukallaf. Right? The mukallaf. Right? The mukallaf is someone who is, there are two conditions for the mukallaf. Right? The first condition, so mukallaf basically means legally. This one, legally responsible. I prefer the word legally obliged. And they are legally responsible for their actions, meaning that they will be questioned about it. Right? But obliged, it becomes wajib on them. Right? So a person who is mukallaf, it becomes wajib. Wajib. The entire, all the laws, the religion becomes wajib, compulsory on this individual. Right? The first one is a sound mind. Right? The conditions of a mukallaf. Right? The first condition is that they must have a sound mind. Right? And the second condition is puberty. And that is why And that is why the Shaykh begins with speaking about puberty. Because what he's going to discuss thereafter about Taharah and Salat, about purification and prayer, it applies to the one who has reached puberty. Of course, those who have not reached puberty, they are to be taught. Because when they come into puberty, straight away all these things are questioned. They will have to know, how to do all of these things. Which unfortunately, so many children, they're not being trained, especially on their wudu. No one watches their wudu. And even on their istinja, and no one's looking at their istinja and ensuring that they know how to clean themselves. Right? And they live their lives and they grow into adulthood and they grow into, and they grow up and all the while they don't know how to remove najis or najasa properly and from their privates. Right? SubhanAllah, I will speak a bit more about istinja as well, to ensure that anyone here who's an adult, and then you realize, oh, I've been doing istinja wrong my entire life. I don't know that I'm not supposed to be doing it that way. Especially especially in countries whereby like the public toilets don't have water, like in Singapore, right? And then you do istijmar, which is basically using something dry, right, to clean yourself, dry and coarse to clean yourself, and that is most people will use tissue paper, right? But there are laws, right? There are laws around this to make it valid such that you can pray in that state, right? Because we know that the only thing that truly cleanses, that truly washes, if you do it wash, right, is water. The only thing that you can use the word wash for is when you have water flowing, then you call it washing, right? If there's no water flowing, it's not called washing. But it's basically, a concession in our religion that allows us to clean ourselves with something that is dry, right? In cases whereby you can't find water, all right? And then, but there are laws around it. There are laws around it that enables us to pray in that state, even though there will definitely be, some traces of najis and the privates, but it becomes pardoned. It becomes pardoned because of a difficulty of situation. But inshallah, I will go through it as we go along. Inshallah. Right. So the science, he begins with puberty, right? Because the entire khitab or the entire address in this entire book, that it is the one who is being addressed is the one who is a mukallaf, right? A mukallaf, someone who is legally obliged, right, to obey the laws of Islam, legally obliged to obey the laws of Islam. In other books, right, other fiqh books, they actually begin with da'wah. They actually begin with da'wah. I said the first statement they will put in their books is that it is on every human being, right? It is on every human being to believe in Allah and the Prophet and the last day. They begin with that, right? It is wajib. It is true. It is true. It is wajib. It's compulsory on every human being to believe in their creator, right? Because then it will bring them to the whole purpose of existence, right? Why they were placed on this earth in the first place. So it is wajib. It is wajib on every human being, right, to believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They have to, because otherwise they'll be living their lives and then dying. In the day of judgment, they'll be questioned. Didn't you hear the message? And about people when there are people around you who spoke about the one true God, then you hear about this, right? And in like Surah Mulk, the angels will ask them, didn't you hear about the message? Didn't you know this was coming? Right? And they said, we heard, right? Oh, if only we had listened, and we heard what they were saying, but we didn't listen. They want to listen. I mean, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide those who need guidance, right, in our lands and around the world. Right, so sound mind first. So this removes from it, those who do not have a sound mind, meaning those who are unable to understand the matters of the religion. There are actually a few more conditions of mukallaf, but I won't go through them. There are actually a few more conditions before somebody is really considered to be mukallaf, but the other conditions most human beings have anyway. Right. So a sound mind, right? So for example, um, there was like in the past, there were people who were asking questions about those who are autistic, right? Those who are autistic, and they can't seem to understand, matters. So they're not, like a regular human being, right? They're autistic, right? So the answer to that question is really how much can they understand? Because autism is on the spectrum, right? It's a spectrum of, I myself have family members that are autistic, right? And we know, obviously, it is on a spectrum, right? So some of them can be taught and they can be trained, on the laws of Islam. They have the ability, the mental capacity to know. And some of them, they just cannot. They just cannot, come, like have anything to do with human society. They just on the other end of the spectrum, depends on where they are. And it is on the caregiver to figure out, if and just try to teach them as far as you can. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mercy on them. They're called the children of paradise usually, here in Tarim, they're called, the kids of paradise. Even when they grow older, they're called the people of paradise. And because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mercy on them. Okay, so now puberty. The signs of puberty are three. So he begins with the signs of puberty, is for people to know if they have reached puberty and to know if your children have reached puberty. So be ready. Be ready, because puberty can happen at any point, at anywhere, right? Around 9 years old. Right? And 9 years old, thereabouts, right? For menses, 9 years old, thereabouts. I received an email some time ago. Someone emailed me about her daughter having gotten her menses at 9 years old. Her daughter got her menses. And she felt that her daughter is too young, right, for laws of the religion to be implemented, or to be implemented on her daughter. She felt she was too young. But the religion does not see her as too young. No. 9 years old, you can figure things out. At 9 years old, you can be responsible. It's just a lack of tarbiyah. It's a lack of training. That's it. It's a lack of training. But nine, they should be able to be responsible. They should be able to handle their own worship, handle their own wudu, handle their own prayer, memorize Quran. They can do that. They can do that. And most 9-year olds, they can clean their own room. They can do some chores. Right? You can train them on chores. It's a matter of training. It's literally a matter of training. And in fact, some 9-year-olds, they will look after the younger sibling, and they look after babies, they look after, and they can help, they can help do all these things. And so the obligations of the religion, right, is can definitely be carried by them. And so, of course, my response to her is that Allah has said, right, that Allah has made it, His religion, His law, that 9 years old they can take on matters. Right, it's a matter of you training her, or you didn't train her, and if you feel that she's not ready, it means that you have not been training her. You've not been preparing her for this. And the religion, in fact, gives us a heads up at 7, right? The hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? That command your children to the prayer at 7, right? So the hadith only gives us a heads up. You need to wake up. If your child is 7, right, wake up, right? It could be 2 years, and then they become legally obliged, right, to this religion, right? So don't think, oh, they're still babies, still babies. They're not babies. They're not. Once they have reached 7, they are called mumayyiz. Like mumayyiz, you can see that uh the conditions of the meals here. They're able to eat themselves, yes. And some children, this starts at 5. At 5, they have reached the age of tamyiz, or they are mumayyiz, discerning. And some children, but 7 is usually, the maximum age. Most children, in fact, all children should have reached mumayyiz or tamyiz at 7. At 7. Like some of them can be as young as 5, and they figure things out, right? But most of them by 7, right? In fact, all of them by 7, they should have reached the age of tamyiz. And this is called, someone who is kabir. Right? They are kabir. They're big boys and big girls, right? And you should also, and I'll add on to this, also start to separate them, right, from the other gender, right, and teach them who they can, shake their hands and who they can't. I teach them. Even adults don't know this. And then they expect children to come and, give them salams. And you give salams verbally, yes. Say salamu alaikum, to someone who's not your mahram. Teach them then, but don't extend your hand. I don't extend your hand if they are not mahram to you. You're not to touch them. And adults need to learn this as well. Like adults must learn that you don't expect, these people to come and, touch your hand. I have had teenage boys come up to me. So weird. Like teenage boys come to my house, like during Eid or whatsoever, and they come up to me and they extend their hand. And I will have to refuse them. I'm like, like you all are so big already at this age. You still want to salam people. Like subhanallah. But because they're not being taught. They're not being taught. No one's teaching them, when they can touch your hand, when they can't touch your hand. So Allahumma salli wa sallim barik alayhi wa ala ali. Right, the first thing before we speak about puberty, we speak about tamyiz. Right, tamyiz meaning the age of discernment. Right, meaning that they are human beings. So basically, the overall general feel of a human being who is tamyiz, right, is that this human being can function, right, like a small adult. Right? They can function like a small adult, right? In the sense, you can talk to them, you can reason with them, right? You can tell them, you can give them instructions, and they do it correctly, right? In fact, even a bit more complicated instructions, for example, right? So, for example, you say to them, clean your room, make your bed, right? Go and take a shower and then, do your Quran. You can say all these things in one sentence, right? And they got you. They got you. They know what to do, right? So you can tell, which of your kids that can't do this, right? You say to like a 4-year-old, can you make your bed? Okay. Then you say, okay, put the pillow, right? Then you fold, come, let's fold. You know how to fold? So the moment you have to speak that way, they are not Mumayyiz, right? Because you are like, you have to spell everything out for them and make them go through step by step. Not Mumayyiz, right? Not Mumayyiz. And they get confused and they forget and they don't know what's going on. Right? All this kind of age, they're still babies. They are still babies. Right? Then when you can just if you can just give them like a list of instructions and you go off and they know what to do, right? They might be, negligent and, forgetful, but that's not negate the tamis, the mumayyiz, right? But you know that they understand what they have to do. Right? It's a matter of attitude thereafter, right? It's just attitude towards it. So they can eat by themselves without making a mess, right? So you can give them a bowl of cereal and they can eat it like without without making a big mess. They can drink by themselves without having to use, some form of sippy cup or whatever. They can drink a cup, by themselves, without making a mess. They can clean. This is the biggest part about tamis. They can istinja, right, by themselves. Okay, so you don't have to worry. Are you washing yourself? Okay, are you, like you don't have to worry. Right? But again, when a child reaches this age, and you're training them on the toilet. I watch them. For the first few times, or for the first few weeks, I would say, I watch them. I watch them. Especially at the age of 5. I start with 5, 4 or 5, when they still let you watch them. Once they hit 7, they're not gonna let you watch them, right? So around the age of 4 and 5, as you're training them, on the toilet, right? Watch how they wash themselves, and instruct them. Right? So the water has to come here, the water has to go there. Use your hand, right? And you need to feel if all the najis has been washed off, right? Use it, right? Wash here and wash there, and then wash your legs. Use some soap, right? So you need to instruct them until it becomes second nature. Like to them, regards to urinating, to ensure you do the dry cough, after urinating to to do the dry cough, to push out every last drop of urine. And because shaitan, when a human being urinates, shaitan goes to the privacy of the human being, especially boys, right? And one of the mashayikh, they gave an example, of the, of the, of the organ through which urine exits, right? That he gave the example of a cup, right? So if you have a cup, a normal cup, and you fill it with water, for example, your bladder's like that, right? You fill it with water. Okay, you turn the cup around. That means you completely empty out the cup, right? You turn it around, you completely empty up the cup. Okay, just turn it around one time, and the water flows out, onto the ground, for example. If you shake the cup, will there be drops falling out? Yeah, there will be drops falling out. We know it because water sticks, right? The water tension, or our surface tension causes for water to stick to surfaces. It does. It just does. There's a nature of water, right? Fluids, they tend to stick to surfaces, right? So when you shake the cup, a few more drops come out. You shake it again, a few more drops come out, and you shake it again, then khalas, then probably no more drops come out, right? Your excretory system works the same way, right? You empty it out. I push everything out. I empty everything out. The urine is in the toilet bowl, but you got to shake it. You need to do the dry cough and shake it for the last few drops to come out. Otherwise, that when you do get up and you do move your body and you put on your pants and so on and so forth, the last few drops will come out. Like they will come out and then they will soil your clothing, right? So explain this, right, to your children. You can even show them the cup. See how the cup, you turn it around, everything falls out. Is there still drops inside? Yeah, there are drops. You can see the drops. They're there. But it is stuck there. They're not moving, right? You gotta shake it, then it comes out, right? So emphasize on them. That and this is the thing, so many human beings, no one ever taught them all this stuff. and they walk around with soiled underwear. Right? They walk around with najasa on them. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Disgusting, right? They walk around with drops of. So, but in the hadith, shaitan, he goes to the privacy of a human being. He holds on to the last drop, of urine when a human being urinates, right? Then when you stand up and you put on your clothing, he lets go of that last drop, right? So that the clothing of the human being is soiled, right? So you don't want this to happen to you, right? So the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is to do dry coughing, right? So you, right? So you do a dry coughing. Also for women, right, to do a slight massage from your belly button down to your privates. Alhamdulillah for fiqh. We love fiqh. Fiqh is, there's no shyness in fiqh, right? There is no shyness in fiqh. You spell things out, you say things clearly, right? The Sahaba used to ask Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, like even a woman asked Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, how do I cleanse myself after my menses? They ask clearly that, well, what do I do? I don't know how to cleanse myself after my menses. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would explain. And he would explain. There were some things that he was so shy to say. When he wanted to say to her, to run some musk, right? Pure musk, okay, not our artificial musk that we have nowadays. Pure musk. He said, run some musk, at the traces of where the blood was. He said that, where the blood was, the traces. And she was like, I don't get it. This woman, la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. She was like, I don't get it. What, where? And he was like, where the blood was, where the blood exits, right? Where the blood exits, you run, some musk, just perfume it, like perfume it. And she was like, I don't understand where. She kept saying that, I don't understand where. And finally, and Rasulullah was like, Subhanallah, Subhanallah. And some people don't get it. And saying that Aisha had to pull her aside because he made her private, right? But he didn't want to say it, like, but he kept saying where the blood comes from, and you know where the blood comes from, right? But she was just kind of, very dense with, this woman, mashallah, Allah bless her, for asking the question. And Sayyidina Aisha pulled her to the side, and Aisha said to her explicitly, right, where Rasulullah meant, he meant your private stand, then, okay, right there, right, to put some perfume and to remove the smell of blood, like after menstruation. Inshallah, we'll go more into it when we get to the chapter of menstruation. But for regards to menstruation, if you want to really know the full extent of the law, right, in Islam, then to go to the classes making sense of menses, right, that I go deep into the matter, and I explain it thoroughly, inshallah. I can go there. But these books will have, some commentary on it, but it is not thorough, but it is just, you will say it is enough, right, for the common woman. So cleaning himself after the use of toilet unassisted, and he's cleaning himself well, right? So this has to be taught. You can't just assume a child knows how to clean themselves. No, you need to teach them, how to clean themselves, right? So you go to the bathroom, right? First thing, after urinating, do a dry cough, and then for women, to just do a slight massage between the belly button and the privates, and then now washing yourself, have flowing water, right? First and foremost, flowing water. Right? So whether it's a hose, or whether it's a small bucket, like a gayong, a small bucket, wash yourself, teach them how to use their hands. All right. So when you first begin to train them on the bathroom on the toilet, to be toilet trained, take their hand, their left hand, right, and shove it right between their legs and show them how they wash themselves. You hold the hand and you show them where to feel, to touch, right, especially at the very openings, right. So and if they were to defecate, right, exactly at the opening, right, to know how to clean inside of the of the anus, just slightly inside, so that if there's any najasa there, to feel it out, right? They need to use their fingers to feel it out. Right? So there's no feces left behind, right? At the halaqah, they call it the circle of the anus. Right. So in fact, they do go deep in, they are explicit, because you don't want to walk around with najis, on your body, right? So make them, clean from the back, right? Know how to fill it out, pull out the feces. Later on when they are older as well, like 'cause for now, especially for girls, when they're younger, right, they're very tight, right? Their private parts are very tight because they're the young girls, right? But when they reach puberty, right, and with puberty, the vagina opens up, right? The opening opens up, right? Because to allow for blood flow and to allow for, the body prepares for sexual intercourse, right? Because now with puberty, she is ready, right, to actually bear, right, to actually have a child, to get married, have a child. Naturally, and naturally, a woman at the point of puberty, right, is already, physically able to carry a child, right? So the body prepares for that. I just why the body prepares for puberty, and then it prepares for intercourse, right? So now when she reaches puberty, that is when she will begin to experience discharge. Right. Some girls they do experience discharge a bit earlier at the age of 8. They might experience discharge already, or 8.5. Um, but don't think that you have taught them already at the age of 5 or 6. Then when they come into the age of puberty, you're not going to teach them. No, teach them about discharge, right? Teach them how to clean their vagina. Like so many women don't know how to clean out your vagina. Like, so alhamdulillah, this is one thing about fiqh, being woman teaching woman. Because for me, I'm just casually saying just saying all these things. If I was a man, like speaking to a bunch of women, I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna go into all these matters. I'm gonna talk about this. Like, but alhamdulillah, between women and women, we know our issues, right? So teach your girls. I know of adult women, they just don't know how to clean out their vagina. Your vagina has discharge all around, right? And there is discharge, there is najasa, it's najis, right? So you need to know as you do your istinja. But again, don't go into a paranoia, or and washing and washing and washing and washing without any end. No, washing should take literally a few seconds and you're done, right? If you're going to take up to, a minute washing, washing and washing and washing, or a few minutes washing, then you're going into paranoia. Or waswasa, like waswasa. Right. So wash so I'm going to the vagina right now. I said the vagina you wash using your finger slightly, just slightly into the opening, right? Just to ensure that there is no najasa. Why? Because these openings is where the najasa begins to fall out as you are walking, as you are, you put on your clothing and so on. The najasa falls out from there. Right? So while you're doing istijat, to ensure your fingers go into these areas, right, and wash around them slightly, right? Slightly. Unless you are fasting, then you cannot insert your finger in these areas. So teach your girls as well. Right? Teach your girls as well to wash, right? Because this is like basically it is to ensure that all the najasa is gone. Okay. Now, so cleaning themselves after using the toilet unassisted in the sense you have taught them well, and after you teach them right a few times, so but you are then you use their hands and you show them how to wash themselves, right? Then for the next few times you're gonna watch them wash themselves. Right? Look at so don't say anything, but just stand there watching, right? To see they know how to wash themselves, right? And clean themselves out. Um, uh, and if you and in fact, after they wash themselves, you can actually feel them. You're the parent, you're the mother, right? Feel them to see if they have really gotten clean, or cleanse themselves out of all najasa that is around their private. So don't have disgusting children walking around with najasa, on them. Wala hawla wala quwwata illa billah. Right. So this is the main signs of the means. There are other signs they will say that they know food from non-food, but that comes very early in the age of a human being, right? Children, by the age of maybe 1 year old, 1.5, they already know what's food and what's not food, right? A young thought, a young, you wasn't going to say a toddler, an infant. Like they might sit and they might just put things in their mouths, right? They don't know what's food, what's not food. But very soon, very, very quickly, they will learn. They will learn what's food, what's not food, and they will stop putting things in their mouth. Um, and they will say things like, for the one who is woman, like you speak to them, they can respond to you in a logical manner, right? So in a sense, you can engage with them in discussion and in conversation. You can engage with them in conversation, a sign of tamiz as well, right? So usually for most children, the maximum age is 7. Right? For most children, it will not go beyond 7. And by 7, they should show some level of they should show afwan. By 7, they should show full tameez. Right? Your child should show full tameez by 7. Right? So some people, especially girls, they might show it at 5. Right? 5 years old. And when this happens, you also need to teach them the adab, or the etiquettes of gender interaction. Right? Teach them, right, the etiquettes of gender interaction. So teach them who they can salam, right? Physically, hold the hand, right? Who are their uncles, right? Who are the brothers of their parents, right? The brothers of their grandparents, granduncles. That's usually the confusion happens there, right? So auntie's husband not counted. Okay, so don't salam the auntie's husband. Okay, and so or cousins. See, you explain to them, your mother and your father's cousin is my cousin, not my brother, my cousin. Like you cannot salam my cousin, okay? Because I'm your own cousin, right? The kind of thing. Right? So explain to them who are their mahram. Like from a very young age. It's not hard to learn who are your mahram. It's not hard. Like all the fathers, all the brothers, all the sons. Right? Basically, mahram falls under 3 categories. Like fathers, brothers, and sons. Right? So my fathers, right, fathers and father and grandfather and father-in-law, right, and stepfather, mahram, the fathers, right? And then brothers, right? My brother, my mother's brother, my father's brother, right? My grandfather's brother, right? The brothers, they're all mahram. Right? And then sons, right? My son, my stepson, my son-in-law, right? These are milk, of course, milk son. These are all mahram. Okay, but not my uncle's son. Okay, my uncle's son is not mahram. My uncle's son is my cousin, not mahram. And we teach them; they can learn. Right, because the time the mumayyiz. Right, this is a sign that they are mumayyiz. They can learn. And in fact, if they get confused, they can always ask you. Like this one, can I salam? Right, you can just clarify. Okay, this person, who is he? Then they must know relationships already. Yeah, who among around them is a cousin, who is an uncle, who is the spouse of an auntie. Like, is this person, my brother, not my brother? They will have to know who around them is who. Right now, so this coming Eid, I teach them who is who, which house are we going to, who is this person to you. I teach them. Then just bring them around during Eid, and they just know the houses by the things in the house, or the house that has that fancy clock, or the house that always serves, like roti kirai, the house that always, and then kids will learn about houses in that way. Teach them who are these people, like to them in the family, and why we are visiting these people. Now, right. So now I should teach them about gender interactions. I've seen children, ya Allah, at age 7, 8, and 9, having no sense of gender interaction at all. Like to the point they sit on, like for example, they sit on the laps of men who are not their mahram. I would say even mahram, don't take things lightly, right? Don't take things lightly. We live in a zaman whereby sexual abuse is unfortunately too common, like too common. Right? So guard over your girls, teach them. Like don't just sit on the laps of any random stranger. Not a stranger, any random person. I've seen girls 7, even up to 9, 10 years old, so easily, climbing on people and sitting on people, and you're a big girl. Big girl. You need to not do that. Right? Not do that. Guard over your aura, right? And got over your body. Right? No one's supposed to, not just anybody is allowed to just carry you like that. Right? So God, teach them. It is on the parent, it is especially on the mother, right, to instill this a sense, right, in your girls especially. Don't be complacent. Like so sometimes even yesterday, Friday, when Nabi Allahhood, a group of us, our annual visit to Nabi Allahhood, and because the bus is full, the adults sitting in the back full, so some of the younger girls, we had to put them up in front next to the driver. Right? So when they sat there, like 3 of them was squeezing, in the front seat, 2 or 3 of them, around the age of 7, 8, and 9, around there, of that age. So I did say to them clearly, right? You all are sitting here next to you, the driver, okay? Because it's like a bus, you can't really see what's going on in front. So like, I will say to them, I get very worried sometimes. I'll say to them that, okay, the driver cannot come near you, okay? They cannot come near you. He cannot touch you. All right? Right? So if he does, you need to shout out. Right? And I never put one of them in front. If it's going to be one of them, she's going to squeeze us at the back. Right? So if I do put people in front, I will make sure there's three, at least three of them, and they can all watch out for each other, not just one by herself, right? Whereby you open a door for her to be molested, right? So this, as an adult, you look at what the situation to ensure. And I say to them, if the man comes near you in any way, like you must say loudly, I'm sitting right behind you all, okay? You must say loudly, like if anything happens. Like teach them, right? They're not, no one's supposed to touch you in any way. And not even to touch your thigh, they should also be touchy towards you because you're a girl. All right? Teach them that. And also teach your boys. And sexual abuse amongst young boys is also people people don't take these things seriously, right? And they want to be Allahu alam what it is, right? But it's being naive, about the matter, right? Boys and girls, they're being abused in the world that we live in today. The percentage is alarming of how many people report themselves having been abused when they were young, boys and girls, right, being touched, right? So adults, right, please guard over our children, right? Teach them gender distance, right, gender adab, right, and distance, right, especially for men, right? In the Shafi'i madhab, it is not permissible for a young boy to be alone in a room for grown men. It counts as khalwat. A young boy, it's not permissible for him to be alone in a room with a grown man. Why? And in the madhab, it says that because the young boy has the body of a woman, right? The young boy, he's not, formed yet. He's not masculine yet. He's a young boy, right? He has the body that resembles that of a girl, right? Right. And so many abuse cases happen, right, between men and boys. Okay. So subhanallah, my husband, he used to give tuition, and he would say he would tell me, that he would go to a house and the parents would place him alone in the room with the child to do tuition because they want quietness and privacy, and he would always refuse because he doesn't want there to be any form of, people accusing him of anything, right? And you always make it a condition. But parents, why are you allowing your child to be alone in a room? The child is primary school, 9, 10, 11, years old. Why are you allowing your child to be alone in a room with an adult man, even if he's an ustad, right? And unfortunately happens there. And ustad that come to teach Quran, abusing children. Like, why do you have so much trust on this adult men? Come on, parents, wake up. Right? Have it in the hall, always in the hall, where you are there watching what's going on. Don't allow them to go to a private room, just the two of them, or even as a group of children and one adult. No, in the hall, right? Tuition, ngaji, Quran, whatever, all in the open where everyone can see, and especially you gonna sit there and watch, right? To ensure there's no abuse, whether it's sexual abuse or even verbal abuse, right? Verbal abuse of some teachers, may Allah guide them. Like they don't know how to speak to children. The running down, the condemning, the saying of words that, you don't know, right? If there's abuse happening to your children. Right? So God over the matter, alhamdulillah. Allah, right? So subhanallah, and I'm not checking the chats yet. I will check the chats in a while. I want to finish this part. Um, so when he reaches 10 years old, now, right, so the commandment, in fact, the commandment from the Prophet ﷺ is command them to the prayer and other injunctions pertaining to the prayer like wudu. Right? Because how are they going to pray if you don't know how to do their wudu? And before wudu is istinja, right? So clean out the najasa and know how to and know what nullifies wudu as well, right? Breaking of wind, and so on. Right, touching the other gender. So then now you can teach them, don't touch the other gender. Right, don't go near them. They're not supposed to carry you. They're not supposed to handle you in any way. All right, you gotta teach them, about safety, from the other gender. And no one's supposed to see these parts of yours. Cover it. No one's supposed to see it. In fact, for me, I've not sent out the message, but I would say to the parents, stop dressing your girls in leggings. Stop dressing your girls in leggings. Leggings are highly sexual. Even your young girls, she's 4, she's 5. Why? I don't understand why. Why must they be dressed in leggings? Why? And my brother, he hates leggings. It's like so troublesome and so, you know. But it literally it shows the shape, of their legs, and even worse, if their top is not long, it shows right up to their crotch. Why do you want to show that to the world? Right, wala hawla wala quwwata illa billah. I saw this video once about this Christian lady, Christian, and Christians, some of them, they have a very good sense. You know, this Christian lady calling out Christians, Christian women, as to what's with these leggings, and she's like, someone who believes in the Bible will not wear such things. She was saying it. Well, the Quran, Muslims, walking around in tight jeans, all the way up to your crotch, and they're not covering that part. What in the world? Are you not even thinking, not even looking at yourself in the mirror before you leave the house? Like your children. Like don't Ya Allah, our religion tells us there are men out there with sickness in their hearts. Sickness in their hearts. You put on your 3-year-old, your 4-year-old leggings. You don't know who of the men out there are looking at their vagina and the shape of their vagina. You don't know this, right? And you just think, it's really all my child. Even worse, if you go to like the zoo or the all this what do you call it? Water parks. People walking around with their children stark naked. This and this is amana. It is a trust on you to guard over their aura. Even on your baby. I don't just strip your baby naked in front of random people watching. Don't do that, right? But have some have a possessiveness over this matter, that no one's gonna look at my child. If I have to wash my child, just you, or whoever is it in a caregiver, your mother, your auntie, or a helper, and nobody else is going to just be a busybody and see the aura of my child. Wala hawla wala quwwata illa billah. Like these are things that people take it so lightly, right? They take it so lightly. You don't guard over your children enough. Right? You don't guard over our children enough. Guard over them, right? And teach them to guard over themselves. All right, inshallah. So at 7, they are commanded on the prayer, and together with the prayer comes Taharah, comes Istinja, comes Aura, comes all of these things until they reach 10, right? They reach 10, and in the hadith, strike them. So not beaten, and beaten kind of like a hard word, but strike them lightly. Right? So it's more like a tap. Like, hey, you're not praying, go and pray. And this is for someone who has been instructed on the prayer since he was 7. So for a good 10 years, for a good 3 years, for a good 3 years, been instructed on the prayer, taught the prayer. So not just a hard fist, you instruct and okay, go and pray also, go and pray also. No, it's called tarbiyah. Tarbiyah. Gonna encourage them. Speak about the rewards of it. And also speak about the punishments of it. Right? Those who don't pray, what happens to them? Right? Speak about those who do pray, what happens to them. Isra and Miraj coming around. Right? In Isra and Miraj, Rasulullah SAW saw the people in the hellfire who were smashing their heads. Right? And every time they finish smashing their heads with an iron hammer, right, the head will form again. And they will smash it again and it will form again. And they will smash it again and it will form again. Right? And Rasulullah asked Jibril, oh Jibril, who are these people? Right? And Jibril says, these are the people from your ummah, O Muhammad, who did not pray. They did not pray 5 times a day. They did not pray. Right? Say to them, like, in our deen, there is targhib and wa tarhib. There is encouragement, and there's also fear. You encourage them on the deen, on the sharia, and you also put in fear. Mention these are real things. This happens to people who don't pray. right? There's a punishment in the hellfire. And then instill, of course, the first 7 years before you actually instruct the prayer, the first 7 years you are developing their relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Love, right? Love is being instilled in them. Who is Allah? Who am I? Who am I to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Allah is my creator. Form that bond. You can't just go right down into law if there's no relationship. Same thing with a parent. You can't be instructing your child do this, do that, and you have no relationship with the child. You miss the entire years of forming, a bond, of forming a relationship that they respect you enough and they respect you to obey you, right? So people just go right into saying to their children, do this and do that and do that. Don't do this, don't do that. Going, this very hard commanding. You missed out the years about you're going to build a rapport with your child and build a relationship. Sitting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Build for them their bond with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, build for them their bond with the Prophet sallallahu wasallam, then the obedience will come naturally, inshallah. Of course, there will be some, fighting with the nafs, right? But they know what is on them to do and what is compulsory on them to do, mashallah. So at 10, if they still refuse after this literally 10 years of talking to them, the first 7 is talking and an encouragement, right? Just building the relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. At 7, right, comes you need to keep track of their prayers as well. At 7, keep track, don't just ask them to pray, but keep track. Do a chart, subuh, dhuhr, asar, maghrib, isha, right? Ask them to tick if they have done it, and even if you really want to, put a time, them to write down a timestamp, teach them how to tell time. Okay, what time do you pray subuh? So you can even track what time they're praying all these prayers, right? So instead of just putting a tick there, which makes it easier to lie, we don't want them to lie, right? Make them do a timestamp. Like a timestamp, you can't. I mean, it does take a bit more to lie. You don't want to lie about it, right? But then you can track. Oh, you pray at this time, but I saw you at this time you were at the playground, right? Oh yeah, you know. Right. So I would say put a timestamp. Tell them, see what time you pray and write down the time that you prayed. Right. And so you can check also if they're praying their prayers late, right, or they're praying their prayers early on time. And you can even follow up on that. I attend, right, to strike them in a way that is for discipline, right, not in a way of hurting them, right, not in a way of hurting them, not more than 3 strikes, and other things becomes compulsory at the point of puberty. In the hadith, Rasul also said to separate them in their beds, right, to separate them. See, Rasulullah, he's showing us, he's telling us, don't be complacent on this matter, right, of sexuality. Right? There are people, they still have their children. The son is already 11, and the daughter's 7 and sleeping on the same bed. Right? Even the same gender, all right, male and male, female and female, they should not be sharing the same beds, but have separate beds, right, for them. Because people in the night, they touch each other. That is why it's something that is specific for husband and wife, right? To be under, especially to be under one blanket, right? So from the age of 10, not to share the same bed and not to share the same blanket, right? Because these are things whereby people, human beings touch each other at night, right? So it's something that is specific for the husband and wife. Now, okay. Right. So if you have like daughters, right, on different mattresses with some gap in between, you don't have to buy a bed, just buy a mattress. Just put it all down when you wake up in the morning, put it all up. Right. And I lived that way for a long time. In Syria, you just had mattresses, you just laid it out. Then when you woke up in the morning, you put it all out against the wall. Here in Tarim, I'm also on a mattress with my husband on mattresses. Right. So it's just so much more convenient. I don't know. After so many years of living overseas, I just find mattresses so way more convenient than beds. So they get dusty under the bed and get so troublesome. You want to change the Allah, never mind. Okay, so the hadith goes into separating them. So the hadith doesn't just end with prayer. Rasulullah also said to separate them, right, in their sleeping places, separate them. Male and female, even more, they should separate rooms, right? Separate rooms for them, right? If it's the same gender, not the same bed, but separated, maybe one up and one on the floor, or a double decker, right? There are many ways of doing it, right? So you can separate in that way. It's just or a normal bed and a bed on the floor. Okay, I try and separate them, and then build their, reliance on Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. If they're gonna be scared, afraid to sleep by themselves after the age of 10, since 10 is old, 10. If your child at 10 can't sleep by themselves, they're so afraid to sleep by themselves, we need to build up their inner resilience, I tell them, you read Ayatul Kursi, okay? We have read Surah Yasin, fine. We have read some parts of Surah Baqarah. Why are you scared? Right? Allah will protect you. Right? Allah will protect you. Don't be afraid. Like, sleep by yourself. And it's a matter of just getting used to. It's a matter of just getting used to. And they stop being scared. But for as long as you know, you're gonna entertain this fear of the dark, this fear of the unseen, the fear. Teach them. You have done your Surah Ikhlas, done your Surah Falaq, Surah Nas. Allah will protect you. Do all your du'as. Allah protects you, right? Don't worry about it. Allah protects you. Okay. Having your sister, in the same room with you, she's not going to protect you. Right? She ran away first. Right? No, you ask Allah to protect you. Even from creepy crawlies, Allah protects you. And from them coming onto your body and going to your ear and your nose, whatsoever. Allah protects you from things entering and bothering you while you're asleep. Build their inner resilience. All right. And the tawakkul on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this matter. Okay, now, okay, so we were going into that. Tamam, I'm just going to see the comments here. So many comments, ya Allah. Um, all the way up. Uh, some say very high discharge with water, it might not be enough. When outside, she does clean with water, wipe tissue, and then water again. Sometimes, a few times, just mistake with washing multiple times, second time, to clean will be was. I would say if your discharge is very thick, okay, then okay, you need to notice the cycle of a woman. Okay, I don't think this is for young girls who have not reached menses, right? Because discharge is around the matter of intercourse, right? So you must have a cycle to have thick discharge. If someone does not have a cycle, meaning that she has not reached menses and having this kind of discharge, take her to a doctor. Something's not natural about it. It's not natural, right? But if she's coming to the menses, it is it's in your cycle, right? So at your fertile period, right, you will find, and you can read this stuff. It's all there, under medicine. You can read the cycle of a human of a woman, right? Usually, you should know what weeks. Probably, not even what weeks. It probably will take about like 3 to 5 days, right? 3 to 5 days of fertile discharge. It's ovulation. Okay. So be aware of your biology. Tamam. Be aware of your biology, right? Of your body, right? And literally after menses, and the body cleans out the remains of menses, um, there should be a dry period, right? There should be a kind of a dry period where you don't have that much discharge. Then you go into ovulation, right, whereby the body prepares for sexual intercourse, and the body prepares the body wants to the body prepares for pregnancy and so on, right? Because you're ovulating, right? Then there's a bit of this higher discharge. It's not all the time. It shouldn't be all the time. If you're having it all the time, then there's something wrong with your system. Get yourself checked. Okay. And just watch a little bit, right? I'm guessing from this question, I'm sensing waswasa. I'm sensing waswasa, right? Because it's not this difficult. It's not. You wash yourself, one time, 2 times. The body produces this discharge every now and then, especially in your ovulation period. Then it stops. It actually stops. Same thing with menses. It's not like you don't flow the entire 7 days. You don't. The first 2 days, yes. Thereafter, it comes whenever it comes. Then sometimes it's not there, right? And it comes thereafter again, right? That's the way the body is. The body works in that way, right? So you just wash it out until you don't feel any more discharge, right? There is a natural discharge around the privates, right? That is always there because it keeps you healthy, keeps you moist, right? So you don't hurt as you walk. That's a natural. It's called that one is it's not called discharge. It's just called the moisture of the privates. It's the same ruling as saliva. Like how there's always saliva in your mouth, right? There's always a bit of moisture in your privates. It's not najasa. And go to my classes on making sense of menses, and I explain the matter of discharge thoroughly there. You can go to those classes there if you want more commentary. Male cousins, not mahram. They can marry their cousins if they want to in the future. But if there is a milk born, that is in the sense, that you give the milk and then they are your milk children, then of course they fall under siblings. Tamam. Half uncle, half uncle are all uncles. Mahram, brother. Okay, brother. Tamam. In fact, rule of thumb, whoever is mahram to you is mahram to your child. Right. Mm. Okay. Right. Milk brother is your brother. Milk brother is brother. Uh, Stepfather. Stepfather, yes. Okay, you need to go through the entire issue of mahram. Stepfather, yes. Like whoever is the spouse of your parent is your mahram. Whoever is the spouse of your grandparent is mahram. Whoever is spouse of your children is mahram. Okay, the spouses of your usul and furu. They call it usul and furu. Usul meaning father, grandfather, mother, grandmother, grandmother. Right, furu is children, grandchildren, all the way down. Tamam? Right, the spouses of these people who are from whom you come from and who come from you, all of them mahram. So, oh, Krishna, mahram or something, we need to learn our mahram. Okay, learn our mahram. Right. Um, yeah, the adults are the ones who don't know who are their mahram. Father-in-law after divorce, yes, mahram. Your parents-in-laws are forever mahrams. They are forever mahrams. Even after death, after divorce, they are mahram forever, right? In-laws are mahram forever. So unfortunately, um, cover your bodies well, step brothers, not mahram. Half brothers, yes. Half brother means you share a parent. You share a parent. Step brothers, you share no parent. Right? But it's basically a man marrying a woman, and they both already have children. Right? Their children, not mahram. Okay. Um, Advice on divorcee marrying each other with children of their own. Any you need to set boundaries. Like set boundaries, right? And not allow them to be alone in the home by themselves. Okay. Right. So you need to really take measures. If you already have children, you're marrying someone with children, you need to not allow for there to be khalwat, or them being alone by themselves. You need to be at home. Okay, to look at the matter and see how to handle the matter, right, properly. And if let's say you have a daughter and she has to be alone and her stepbrother's there in the home alone, then teach her to keep herself to her room and lock the door, right? Don't take don't allow there to be some form of khalwa, but of course there should be more people in the home, or teach them to go to their grandparents' place, and so on and so forth. Allah, right? Um, this is a good question. Right? Is it really hard for a man to control himself in his room with a young boy? Not a man, but there are men. Get me? Right? There are very righteous, upright men. Okay, Alhamdulillah. Right? But there are men that might have sicknesses, and you don't know who they are. They don't have a particular look. There is no particular look about them. You can't tell, right? And it's a moment of shaitan getting the better of them, their nafs getting the better of them, and they don't think and they do the unthinkable. All right. So don't think, don't be naive about the matter. Yes, this kind of thing, and don't call it a sulzan. It's not a sulzan. It is called taking precaution. Taking precaution is not sulzan. Right? Sulzan is after someone has, done something to you wrong, then you have a good opinion of them, you don't think bad of them. All right. But before things happen, take precaution. Precaution is very much part of our religion, Right? Don't be completely foolish, right? So it's not thinking badly of them. It's called protecting your children. Rephrase your sentence, right? You're not thinking badly of them, but you're not being naive and foolish. Right? For example, not giving your child the phone, right? Because you don't want them to watch stuff that says bad on the phone. It's not thinking bad of your child. You're protecting your child. Understand the matter? Okay, you're protecting your child. You're not thinking bad of them. No, like your child says, "Why don't give me your phone?" You say, "No, because there are bad videos on the phone, online on YouTube." The child said, "You don't trust me." No, I'm protecting you. It's not about trust. It's called protection. I'm protecting you. I'm not giving you something that could possibly harm you. These things that could possibly harm you, right? So another human being could possibly harm you in that way. And it's called protection, right? And anyway, anyone with any sense would understand the matter. Like my husband, he would refuse to give tuition to a child alone in a room. He refuses it. He actually would refuse. He would say to the parents, I don't do this. Right? My policy as a tutor, I only teach in the hall. Like, it's his policy, my husband. Right? I mean, an upright man will say that. Alhamdulillah is upright. An upright man will say that. Like, and it's not like he knows he's gonna do anything wrong. No, it's just that it's just the way, it is the law. The law says that, right? Guard the law. Okay. Right. So it's not think badly, but it's basically being wise and smart about the matter, right? And protecting your children. Okay, how do you ensure your boys, and girls especially, even don't have the sticks in their hearts? It's just exposure to the world. In fact, the world that we live in is everywhere. Even if you don't show it to them, it's right there on the, as they go on public transport, they go here, they go there. People are dressed also in ways that is just, the most disgusting way of dressing. And it messes with the minds of men. Right. And the same with the Christian that I was listening to a few some time ago. She was talking about, because I was doing this thing, I was looking about modesty, so I found her videos. And she was saying to women, right, that they need to cover up, they need to wear looser clothing, and she's a Christian. And then in her comments, all the men were commenting and saying, "Yes, woman, cover up. You're giving us a hard time." The men were saying it. They say, I agree with you. Women need to stop wearing leggings. You need to stop wearing tight clothing. It's not your body, your choice. You are messing with us men. The men are voicing out. Our deen is so perfect. Our religion, Allah has already pointed out that you need to help each other to be righteous. Help each other to be righteous. Don't tempt one another. It's not my body, my choice. The women who go around, exposing their cleavage, exposing their rear and exposing their bodies, wearing all this tight, clothing. You're messing with the minds of young boys. They see it. We as women, we see it, right? As women, right? We see it. You know, what more our young boys? They're seeing it, right? So it is the dunya that we're in, especially in our country, and they're seeing all around. So even you don't see it online, in school, their friends will talk about it. They see it all around them. So basically, it's a matter of building their taqwa, their fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, their connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's really the building of religion in their hearts, and to fear disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to keep themselves chaste, lower their gaze, right? But at the same time, don't put them in positions whereby the sin could happen. Right? And they need to not place themselves in these positions. Don't be alone in the room if a girl. Like, don't be alone in the room with a young boy. Don't do that. Don't underestimate shaitan. All right? It means be suspicious of your own self. Be suspicious of your own self. Don't trust your nafs, right? About that. Okay. Right. So, subhanAllah, may Allah guide our Muslims and non-Muslims. May Allah guide everyone, to what is most beloved to Him, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right. So, teach them, sit them down, teach them the importance of prayer, right? The seriousness of prayer, It is on you to do the tarbiyah. It is on you to do the tarbiyah, right? To really get them serious about the matter. And really, after the age of 7, punishment comes in into the picture. All right. Before 7 is all love and play, yes. After 7, discipline comes in. Parents forget. And sometimes I see parents, the tarbiyah that you give your children from 0 to 7, you continue it after 7. No, no, 7, you need to bring in discipline and punishment. Yes, right. Yes. Right, from the words of the Prophet, they are struck lightly. Right? There's sternness in your voice because now they're going into seriousness. From 7 to 14, you're supposed to show discipline, right? To discipline them, not in a way to harm them, no, but to show the seriousness of the matter. Remove privileges, right? There's consequences to their action. If they're playing around, they're fooling around in prayer, then show them the seriousness of the matter. How Aisha was saying, how it was sure, there was one time, one child, there was a child, mashallah, walked in front of him, like during the prayer. After the prayer, he called the child. Didn't let it go, he called the child. And he set the child down, held the hand of the child, and said to the child, when people pray, you cannot walk here. Okay, you cannot walk here. And from that day onwards, he never did it ever again. This strong tarbiyah, strong upbringing of children. If they're fooling around in prayer, after the prayer, sit down, talk to them. What are you all doing? Right? Why? If they are past the age of 7, they can understand this matter. They know they did it wrong. Right? Sit down. What? Don't shout. Don't scream. No. Talk. Talk. Okay? Right? The most ineffective way of parenting is to shout and scream. The most ineffective way. Right? The most effective way for me as a teacher, I'm not a parent, but I'm a teacher, right? I sit down, I look at them in their eyes, and I say, what are you all doing? Especially past age of 7, 8, 9, 10. You can reason with them and talk to them. Why do you behave that? Is this okay that we are standing in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you want to fool around? Do you think this makes Allah happy with you? Is Allah impressed with you? This is how we should behave when we're praying. Right? Speak to them. Let them answer you, right? And they know straight away their face will change, right? And they know that this is itab, that they're being reprimanded. They know this. And you keep doing this with them gently. Don't raise your voice. My biggest advice to all parents, do not raise your voice. Do not raise your voice. No matter what, do not raise your voice, right? My entire upbringing, my parents have never raised their voices on us. My entire upbringing, they never raised their voices, but they would talk to us seriously, sit us down and talk to us and ask us, why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you doing that? Firm tone, yes, firm tone, right? Why? And if this behavior it continues, you will see consequences. Like my parents, they will remove privileges, they'll remove things, they'll remove, and there will be consequences if you choose to continue on this behavior, right? They can reason, they can, right? After the age of 7, they can. You need to use that about them, okay? The worst form of parenting is the one who raises their voices. It's the worst form of parenting because you don't find it in the way of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam at all. Sayyidina Muhammad, um, this is the thing is that, yeah, it's the building of taqwa in the hearts, right? It's just a matter of, and I know with regards to the phone, it's very hard. It's very hard. It comes to a point whereby the school requires it, the school makes them have an iPad, what. Then it's really a matter of taqwa. You really have to build the taqwa in their hearts and you have to speak to them over and over and over again about the vices of these things, as they grow older. Right? Right. So if the husbands are the one caring for the child, as far as possible, up to a particular age. All right, up to a particular age, usually around age of 2, latest by the age of 5. Thereafter, you should teach them to bathe themselves. They should learn to bathe themselves thereafter. Okay, right. On wet dreams, I'll speak quite later on next week, inshallah, about wet dreams. Um, yeah, just don't underestimate antimatter. Um, تمام. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. Right. For Ustaza Snola. I mean, okay, for me, I trust females. I don't know. I don't know. I do trust females. Hmm. I personally do teach girls in my room when I was in Singapore. They would come to my bedroom and I would teach in my bedroom. Yani. I don't know. I have no issues with females. I don't know. I've never heard of a case where a female was molesting. I mean, like in America and non-Muslims, we might have. I don't know. Allah, this is a form of my own naivety. I don't know. I tend to trust females, like female teachers. If they go to the room with your girls, I'll have no issue with that. Usually for me, because I myself do it. I don't have an issue with that. Males, I would just be on high alert. Yani. So I don't know. Allah Alam. So right. So yeah, put a disclaimer before you start teaching anything. Allahumma salli wa sallim wa barik alayhi wa ala alihi. Right. Like if they find there was punishment discipline as shadid, right, then they themselves would then they will bear the consequences of not disciplining their own children. You will have consequences. And we are seeing it in our children. Children who are not properly disciplined by their parents, you will see. They don't know how to behave. They don't know how to behave, right? They don't know how to behave. And I'm seeing it around me. I'm seeing people don't know that when your child hits the age of 7, the tarbiyah changes necessarily because the nerves get stronger and they get lazier, right? The nerves controls them. So you need to speak to them nicely, speak to them and be firm with them, speak to them. All right. But someone who doesn't have a discipline on their children, you don't have any form of punishment system on bad behavior, then may Allah have mercy on you and your children. Ya Allah. You know, um, right. So even in the masjid, all that is just neglect of from parents. Subhanallah. We just finished the entire thing. Tamam. Um, mhm, okay. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الفاتحة. أنا ورزق منا فلا الخاسرين من دلنا على الهدى ويسر بك من نبي محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وصحبه وسلم وإلى أرواح معلمين شيخنا وذوي علينا وإلى حضرة النبي محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وصحبه وسلم. من قبل ملك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.